Hello, it's Burgess Taylor, and it's Writer's Day. Actually, this was supposed to be for Writer Wednesday, but we were busy with hurricane preparations, and I was busy. I watched Victor because my daughter had to work, and he didn't feel very well, so I didn't get a chance to do this, but I really wanted to do this. We're doing it now while I still have internet, and hopefully we won't get flooded and Hurricane Florence will just kind of dissipate. Today's video is about using tarot for writing, and this is the first video in a series that I'm going to do because I'm going to be outlining my book for the Witchy Business novel, because that's what one of the books I'm going to be working on during NaNoWriMo in November, National Novel Writing Month. I have already plotted this book and I have kept a lot of things, but I am redoing a few things because I know it needs a little bit of work. I have kept the prologue, I'm keeping a few other things, but I think when it comes down to it, some of the things I knew I needed to change. So that's what I'm working on. And I thought, since I'm going to be outlining it anyway, it might be a good idea to show you how I actually use tarot for writing, because I combine a number of things to do this. I actually don't use just tarot cards. I actually also use astrology, and I use oracle cards. I use a number of books. I use Mapping the Hero's Journey with Tarot, 33 Days to Finish Your Book by Arwen Lynch. That's how I found out about using tarot. I came across one of Arwen's videos about writing and using tarot, and I got hooked. I ended up taking her class, and then after I took her class, I was even more hooked. I was so excited when she came out with the book. The book actually goes in between these two notebooks. Usually it stays right in there. I have two different books. This is the book that I'm using to do this portion, and then I have my writer's Bible. So once I've done some of this outlining, I will fill in the blanks for some of this stuff back here that I have, like my protagonist and my antagonist, where I can add pictures and put their information. I will have more stuff. I have all kinds, well, some of the stuff I used, like here's chapter 1 and chapter 2. I'm going to be really busy, really busy. And then this is some more stuff. So we'll get to that in a bit. I know, you're thinking tarot, huh? For those of you who aren't familiar with tarot, some people think of them as being for fortune telling, for divination, and they can be used for that. But they can also be used as a tool for your writing arsenal, for it actually pretty much all kinds of creative projects, because they actually can help you spark your imagination. They can help you come up with ideas, all kinds of great things. And like I said, when I first heard about this, it was through Arwen. Since then, I found other things that are really helpful. One of the books that's really helpful is also Tarot for Writers. I love this book. Corin Kenner also came out with Astrology for Writers, which I am really digging. And one of the ones that I haven't done a whole lot of reading in, but I am now, is Tarot and Astrology. Enhance your readings with the wisdom of the zodiac. I have two different notebooks in here. I have dedicated to learning astrology and learning tarot. So I'm trying to learn more so that I can know more. The more I know, the better, I think. But I can use astrology to help me with the personalities, with my characters' personalities. Have them be true to what the norm is. Not that all astrological stuff is accurate, but I've had my birth chart read, had it done a couple of times. If you actually go by your birth chart, they're pretty close to being on the money, like seriously on the money. So anyway, I like using this. It helps spark my imagination. And one of the things that I can do with tarot is I can use tarot to brainstorm. I wrote down some things. Tarot can give you a place to start, a way to brainstorm ideas, to flesh out characters, details, a way to use your imagination for things like setting, to open the door to better plot, better plot points, to better character arcs and character development, to have fun. It's fun. I like using the images, the images are very visual, and it helps spark my imagination. I have this schedule for the series, like this will change, but I'm hoping to do the next video in this series. Let me move this so you can actually see it. The next video in this series will be next Wednesday. I'm going to try to do them on Wednesday. To get started, all you really need to do is invest in a tarot deck. Preferably one that uses Rider-Waite, that's structured through Rider-Waite symbolism. I'm going to show you how different some of the decks I have for the same card, how they look very different. And I have done this right here where you have the different things. I am using the Hero's Journey and Tarot to do this. And what I've done, let me find the page. So this is the graph of the Hero's Journey, and we have the 3-act structure in it. It's just different than this 3-act structure. They're a little bit different. I think Hero's Journey is more character oriented, where this is more plot oriented, and I combine them so that I have at least a decent plot, you know, and when I'm trying to start this, because I'm more of a character driven writer, but I want to have good plot. So I try to combine the tarot along with using the Hero's Journey, and then I also try to pay attention to the other kind of 3-act structure. What I've done is, in order to prepare for NaNoWriMo, is I've started a little early, and I have this. Oh, please don't. Okay, now hopefully it won't do the autofocus thing. Alright, so what we're going to do right here is I have used the very first spread that Arwen has in her book. It's called the Court Character Spread, and you ask yourself these 5 questions, and I pulled the cards from the 5 questions, and I have answered those, and I've taken my little tarot stickers and put them right here. When I pulled those, I actually looked at the card and got what I thought from the card, and I look at the different cards. I pulled that card from 4 decks that I have, and I'm going to show you how that works right here. This, when you look at the Hermit, the Hermit looks quite different, but very similar in each one of these. So we're going to take this one. The Hermit looks pretty dark in this one. And then we have the Hermit here. And then we have the Hermit here. And then we have the Hermit here. So I look at all of the cards and I think to myself, okay, what is this telling me? Well, one, in each one of these, solitude is personified. The image that I get is definitely solitude. Not that I get that he's antisocial, but more like he's a loner. It's not that he can't socialize, but if you want to socialize with, you're going to have to come to him. This one, it looks like the Tree of Life, the Tree of Wisdom. This one is a library. He's got the light, the candle, and he's looking for a book. He's got a book in his hand, but he's looking for something else, and he's intensely looking. And then he's got a little mouse. He likes the quiet. The lantern is guiding him. He's on looking for something or on a journey, but this is very solitary in the background. This one looks like he's sort of juggling light. There's this symbolism and stuff written in this tree that I know means something, but I don't know what it means, but it means something. Then this one, so I'm thinking a teacher, a guide. This one makes me think a guide. This one too makes me think of a guide. This one makes me think of a teacher. And this one feels weird to me, like he's had a past and now she is on the path of this solitary path, but he's headed in a new direction, and he's trying to kind of balance where he's been or where she's been and where they are now, that they've got to do a little bit better job. So then I could look up the card and I can look up the meaning of the Hermit. Now I know from books and stuff that the hermit is a solitary creature. The hermit stands on a mountaintop, intimating that he is an objective or wise view of what's happening in the world below. He willingly holds a lantern in his right or conscious hand, suggesting that he's cognizant of being a bearer of the light of wisdom and understanding in the darkness of confusion and ignorance. The wand in his left or subconscious hand implies that he's assimilated his life experiences and serves as an inspiration to others. In addition to encouraging those traversing the mountain to higher consciousness, his presence states that help is sought is always available. The more I think about this, this is the balancing of the right brain and the left brain, the balancing of logic and magic, maybe, of right and wrong, this is a balancing act. So this card is actually the card for my mentor, the character that is the mentor, and he is going to be a guide. He's going to be teaching my main character, my hero, and he is going to be a guiding light for her, but he's going to have to teach her how to balance some things, and he's going to be learning some of that himself. He is very wise, but you know, even the wisest of people can learn something. So that's what I do, is I look up. Now I could look up this card in any number of books and get I could look it up online. I could get more information, and when I go to write this one down, I will. But I wanted to, I pulled a card that wasn't the main character because I'm going to show you the main character. So one more interpretation for different cards. This is my main character. And this deck, let me move this because this card's bigger. So, and this deck, which is Corin Kenner's deck, the Wizard, called a Page of Cups. And this one, which is the very first tarot deck I have, which is called Enchanted Tarot, it's called the Princess of Hearts. Oh, that's the Page of Wands. This is not the right one. Where's the Page of... This is the Page of Cups. It's called the Knave of Chalices here. It's called the Princess of Hearts here. It's called the Page of Cups here. And it's called the Page of Cups here. And if you look at these, this is the Page of Cups. And this is the Page of Cups. They couldn't be more different. This one looks like they have all these things being thrown at her. A scroll, hands, a hand coming from the sky. That looks like a prophet or a teacher, or then there's a cup and more scrolls and the clouds. There's all these things coming at her. And then in this one, we have the Page of Cups. And she's sitting on a rock, looks like a mermaid. She's got a cup. She's offering the bird water. There's a boat in the background, a beautiful sky. And in this one, she's reading a scroll. There's these fish in the water. This one looks very different. And then this one looks very different. But in each one of them, she has the cup. There's a scroll. I don't see a scroll in this one. But I see the fish and the cup and the water. The fish are right here. The birds, and it looks like there might be fish in the water there. There's no fish here. And there's no water here, but the cup is there. So all these cards are very different, which is why I usually try to pull the same card out of a few different decks so that I can get an idea, a better idea. And then I will pull the cards and I will look up the cards and what they mean. I did that here. And then I also pulled her past, present, and future. I answered these questions, like I said, and and these are the ones from Arwen's book, the very first part. And then I got here to my main character and I put the cards. And the cards that I pulled for her, other than the Page of Cups, was the Eight of Pentacles, the Alchemist, which is also Temperance, and then the Empress. So this would be past, present, future. Okay, so I put the stickers here, and these stickers are the Rider-Waite ones, so they're going to look more like, they're going to match what these cards are. but I look up the meaning in the different books that I have that go with the different tarot decks so I can read that too. But normally the first thing I do is look at the card and get what I get from them, which is why I pull the different cards so that I can get the different images, so I can kind of get my feelings wrapped around what it means, because the images are quite different. They usually have some of the same symbolism in them though. So for the Page of Cups, the Page of Cups is, I know it's a messenger card. And if you look here, that looks like a messenger. But to me, the fish is the one giving the message. She's receiving the message. And here, she's talking to the bird, and she's offering the bird water, and it looks like the bird is bringing her a message. The bird is bringing her a message. This, she's reading a scroll, a piece of paper, so she's reading a message. And this, there's scrolls, and somebody's given her, written her a message, and she's got these messages here, and it's like the hand of God is giving her a message. It's also a very creative card. It's a card of synchronicity, beginnings, or renewal, or rebirth. It also feels solitary. She's by herself. It's the realm of unconscious and spirit. I see this is where I got the spiritual from, where I saw that. She's loving and tender. You can see how loving and tender she is in this. She's an inner child. This looks more like a child to me. This looks more like a young woman. This looks like the combination of the two. This one looks kind of like a student, but dressed up in student gowns. She's free-spirited. She is longing, actually, to be free, perhaps. She seems confined to these clothes. But here, not. Her magic longs to be free. She's an old soul. And one of the books says, like, the heart of a poet. They also, like, still waters run deep kind of thing. She's a student of magic. But she's going to have to relearn the rules because she has not been practicing magic. My character has not. She's a romantic. She's kind. She's tenderhearted. She's very dreamy. She's got an emotional lesson to learn. She's gotten this message. And this message is going to have a huge impact on her. And she's going to need to let go of some of these things that are holding her back. She tends to let love lead her, but not always necessarily in a good way. So then we get to the rest of the cards, and we get to the Eight of Pentacles. So with the Eight of Pentacles is a student, but he's working hard. Boy, he is working hard. Going to learn something. But what I get from this is that maybe what once was fun isn't so fun anymore, or maybe didn't always feel like work, but now it feels like work, or there's some kind of negative connotation that goes with the work, because this is the past card. I'm not quite sure. I got like a overwhelming. I pulled the other cards from the decks, and what I got was that she overwhelmed with the magical stuff, with the supernatural. When her parents died, I've done a lot of work on her, so this made sense to me, because when her parents died, her grandparents started raising her. She quit magic. She went mundane. She didn't want to have anything to do with the magic, because magic, the supernatural, is what killed her parents, and she blames the supernatural. And, you know, she was still young, so that kind of, you know, whether she realizes it or not, she's not blaming the people who did it as much as she's blaming, you know, she's blaming them too, but she's taking it out on the magic, the supernatural. But it's not made her happy. She feels guilt over her parents' death, and so at the past, she's gotten to this place where she's just been working, trying to stay busy, trying to be normal, trying to be mundane, so that, you know, she doesn't lose anybody else. So if she pretends that, you know, she's normal and stops with the magic, and she is very powerful. I got that when I pulled the card for her for what was my hero like as a young person. I got the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups, she was precocious as a child. She's very psychic, very strong psychic. She was affectionate and loving and curious and a normal, precocious child. She was always making the flowers grow because it made her mom and her grandmother happy when they saw them. So she practiced really hard and learned. But she is a hereditary witch, and her dad's family. She's a hereditary witch on her dad's family, but her mom is part fae. Her mom is half fae of some kind of supernatural being, whether it's a fae or what, we don't know exactly yet. I know But I've got a pretty clear idea, and if you've been watching me do these outlines for this, then you might have an actual idea. Her mom is half something and half something else. Well, 1/4 something and 1/4 something else, and then half something. Anyway, she's a very supernatural being, my main character, but she's got these flaws. Got a lot to work through. And part of her past has been trying to work through it, but she's been working through it in the wrong way. So we get to the present. And in the present, she is a teacher. She's a counselor. She is herself. She's a counselor. She actually works as a teacher in adult education. She helps rehabilitation. So for people who have been injured, for people who have been displaced in the workforce, different things like that. If somebody's been in a coma and they get out of a coma, if they've been in a car accident, if they've gotten hurt on the job, any number of things, if they are displaced, a housewife who's now back into the workforce, or husband who's back now into the workforce, it could be any number of things, but she helps rehabilitate people, find them new careers, help them open their own businesses or start a new career or go back to school, and she's really good at it. Well, she's a psychic, and she's magical. She's not helping herself. I mean, she's good at her job, but that doesn't mean that's her destiny. That doesn't mean that that's her purpose. And she feels that deep down inside of her, even if she won't admit it to herself, she feels like she's not fulfilling her destiny, that she's not serving her purpose, that she's helping people, but she's a much bigger purpose, and she doesn't know exactly what it is because she's refused to, be part of the magical world, the witchy business. She's not wanting anything to do with the witchy business. So we get to the Alchemist, which is the Temperance card. And that's a card, it could be a card of moderation, but really, to me, it's more of a card of balance. He's trying to mix things together here, he's the Alchemist, and get the perfect balance of these things, a blending. And that blending and balance, she in the present, we have the message. We get this card, this page, she gets this message, my main character, which is why this card came up, this Page of Cups. She gets this message, and then she finds out about she gets the message actually comes from the grandmother's ghost. The grandmother's ghost calls her home. I have changed that somewhat. The grandmother's ghost is calling her home, and she's going to have to find a way to blend the magical and the mundane, her psychic and her magic abilities. And one of the definitions for this card, they call it the divide between water and earth, unifying. It's a unifying presence, and that's what I wrote down, that she could be the unifier of the two worlds, of the magical and the mundane, of the different worlds that she is from, because she's a mixture of things. She's sort of a hybrid, but she has no balance. She's in limbo, and she's never more aware of it when her grandmother's ghost appears to her, because at first she ignores it, and then she's like, oh. She's a magical helper who isn't practicing magic. She is a healer who refuses to heal. So things are going to start changing as soon as her grandmother's ghost appears, and her grandmother's ghost refuses to be ignored. This is the present, and things are going to start changing. And then we get to the Empress, and this is her future. This is going to be her in the future. And the Empress card is the link between the physical and the spiritual worlds. She is the gateway. She's not by the gateway. She is the gateway. She is, look at her. She is fertility. She is growth. She is happiness. She is health. She is beauty. She looks pregnant. Confidence, courage, strength, heritage. She is like the epitome of all those things, and plus magic, the supernatural. We've got all of that. Like, I see the fae in here. She could be the witch, the queen, the head priestess, the high priestess, it could be any number of things. So she is also, though, this card can be the creator, as in creating life and creating magic and creating all these different things. Or it can be the destroyer, the dark mother. And that's where the series is going to come in, because she's got to grow and evolve as a character. So she's going to change some. Now, she's not going to be perfect when she first steps into this role. I have a good idea of where I want to take her character arc for the series, but I'm still learning that series part. But I want to get this novel written, so I'm going to write the novel, and we will continue with the creating of the series. So this is what I do. I have my cards here, and then eventually what I will do is get sticky notes, put them on my poster board, and kind of move things around. Once I get my actual outline, I will do that with post-it notes with little stickers of the tarot cards on there, or a scanned copy of one, and we will be doing that. So the next up I will be doing the grandmother, which I have here, and the mentor, and the love interest, and the anti-hero, and the antagonist. I'm doing these for my main characters, so that I can, when I get done with this stuff and I actually start with the outlining of the novel, once I get to that point. But for now, it's all about the characters. So once I get this, I will find a picture that looks pretty close to what my main character is going to look like. I will put that there. I will also put the tarot card here that reminds me of my character, and then I will be filling in this information, and I will be doing that in Scrivener, so that I have a really good idea. I want to flesh out my characters first. I'm a character-driven novelist first. That's what I'll be doing with that. What I do sometimes whenever I am feeling a bit out of sorts, whenever I'm not quite sure of what I want to do, I will pull an oracle card. Sometimes I'll pull an oracle card. Like, oracle cards are really good to pull a theme. If you aren't really sure about your theme, if you aren't really sure about your genre, Corin Kenner talks about the different things in her book, Tarot for Writers. Arwen goes into pretty good depth and detail about characters, and you're actually using the hero's journey and tarot to outline your novel. And then there are other stuff that you can do. You can pull cards to help you. I like tarot cards and oracle cards. Whenever I have a question about heading in the right direction, I'll either pull a card from the tarot, or I'll pull a card from the oracle deck, and it will help me sort of, I look at the images of the cards. You don't have to look inside the book at all. You could actually just look at the image of the card and get whatever it is that you get from the images that are on the cards. I find them really helpful, and they happen to be beautiful to look at. You know, there are some very gorgeous cards. You know, I have a couple of different decks. Some of the decks are more, like, to me, this one's a little bit darker, the images. This is called the English Magic Tarot. And this one is the Wizard's Tarot, and it kind of reminds me of Harry Potter in a way, sort of, kind of, or magic. I really like this one too. So, and I have a fairy oracle deck and a fairy tarot deck and some other cards, and I like pulling. Sometimes I'll pull a card when I'll ask a question, and I'll pull a card from a different deck, just to kind of find my way. Like, if I feel a little bit stuck, or, you know, I'm not quite sure whether I'm headed in the right direction, I'll do that. So the next video in the series will be part 2 about characters, because I'm going to do some more work on my characters, and then we're going to talk about that. Arwen has a goal, motivation, and conflict video, and she has some stuff about that in her book, and we're going to do some of that work, because I'm going to do that for the main character as well, her goal, motivation, and conflict. Because now that I've got this part for her fleshed out, I've got the court character spread, my questions about what is her weakness, what is her strength. I've got some more stuff worked out about past, present, and future. Now I want to get to the next step will be goal, motivation, and conflict. And we're going to go to that. And then we're actually going to start the hero's journey and use tarot for that. If I have time in the next video, I will start a little bit of that. But next video will be about goal, motivation, and conflict for characters. using the tarot. And then each week you're going to, on Wednesdays between now and when NaNoWriMo starts, we're going to cover some of the different things with the Hero's Journey and Tarot. I don't know if I'll be able to get through the whole outline, but I'm actually going to do the bulk of it, I think. I don't want you to know all of it, so I'm going to try to at least get through Act 1 and the bulk of Act 2, since that is the middle, and that way, you know, I don't want you to know the end. You can't find out everything about my novel, but I will show you some of how I do it, and maybe show you some examples. I'm really excited. I hope that you're going to enjoy this series. I'm excited about it. I love using tarot for writing. I am sorry that the webcam. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I'm going to have a blog post that will coincide with this video. They'll be a bit different because I'm going to link the video in the blog post. So if you want to, please check out the blog post. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and if you haven't already, check out my Patreon page. Thanks, y'all. Bye.